heard them sing, I'm coming home, and heed the master's call. I've heard them sing the modern songs and songs of long ago. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. No sweeter song, sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. It was the song my mother sang in sweet and humble voice. Like music from the world above, it made my soul rejoice. Its soothing words and melodies like the rippling waters flow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweetest song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweetest song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. The sweetest, most wonderful, paid the price and Jesus bore it all. I've heard them sing, I'm coming home, and heed the master's call. I've heard them sing the modern songs and songs of long ago. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. No sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. It was the song my mother sang in sweet and humble voice. Like music from the world above, it made my soul rejoice. Its soothing words and melodies like the rippling waters flow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweetest song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweetest song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet. I've heard them sing, he paid the price and Jesus bore it all. I've heard them sing, I'm coming home, and heed the master's call. I've heard them sing the modern songs and songs of long ago. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. No sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. It was the song my mother sang in sweet and humble voice, like music from the world above. It made my soul rejoice. Its soothing words and melodies, like the rippling waters flow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweetest song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweetest song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound, is the sweetest song I know. The sweetest, most wonderful song I know.
Welcome. That song is such a beautiful song. I always enjoy it. Thanks for joining us here on Dove on the Window. I'm your host, Pastor Jeffrey, and of course, my dear long-time wife, Celia. Let's pray as we begin tonight. Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity to come as family and to interact with folks across the world, literally. Those who are here in Guyana, viewing us live by television, we want to thank you for the audience. We thank you for this program and what it has been able to do, not only for us as a married couple, but for those who join us and those who view the recording, oh Holy God. And we thank you for marriages that are being brought closer together. We thank you for folks who are planning to get married as a result of this program. God, we just thank you. As we spend some time tonight discussing with our guests, we ask that your Holy Spirit will guide us and that the program will go decently and in order. And of course, again, oh God, we pray that learning will take place and that we all will hear something that will draw us closer to you and closer to each other. We love you and we thank you for hearing our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So I want to thank you. Sister Jeffrey, how was your week?
Wonderful. As usual. Wonderful. Yes,
I finally get you to come in your uniform, your clothes. You run late. Finally get you to let the people see how nice you look in your uniform. Folks, tonight in the studio, we have my favorite couple. We grew up together. I admire them. And when I thought of who can come on by way of speaking to the marital relationship, speaking to how you can be married and you can roll with the punches, I thought that I will invite these two people. It was also a request. Their niece requested it, came to me and said, Pastor Jeffrey, why you don't invite my uncle and my aunt? And so it's a kind of a setup too. And so they're here by setup.
Yeah.
So I want to introduce them to you at this time. I want to introduce to you. Now all the years I call him Aubrey, yeah? I call him Aubrey. But he's on with his wife tonight and he said he wants to be romantic. He's going to kiss her. You're going to see all of that tonight. And so he has chosen to have me address him as Winsley. That's his romantic name. He says the name his wife calls him in the bedroom, Winsley. Hey, brother Winsley. How you doing?
I'm all right.
And I can call you Beverly, right? Because all the years. You're not Sister Winsley. You got no other bedroom name. Sister File, how you doing, my dear? Sister Beverly. Oh my God. I tell you, folks who are joining us by Facebook, we want to thank you so much for joining. Now, we're going to open the phone lines immediately after you understand what it is we're talking about. We're talking about longevity. And I'm going to let these beautiful couple, Brother Winsley and his dear wife, Beverly, say something about themselves. Bev, let me begin with you. Tell us a little about yourself.
That's the first thing. I like to laugh.
Yes,
I can tell you
I
that
know.
one. Many of my friends would know me if I call them on the telephone and I say something for them. They haven't heard me for a while, but the minute I laugh, that's it. I'm gone. They already know how to deal.
Beautiful.
This is Beverly, you know.
Beautiful, beautiful.
In terms of me, to be honest, I'm a crazy person. Really, you know, people would say to me, you see that lady? She's something else, and I'm like, what do you really mean something else? But I tell you things as it is. I go about my work recognizing people. You know, I don't do things without people around me and recognizing that this is exactly how people are, and I try to mesh as much as possible to make sure I have something that is cool and everybody's comfortable with it and we go along, you know, nicely. But the minute you are going to do something that is totally beyond what I expect or totally beyond what should be done and things that are wrong, I step in quickly and I get it right.
I'm
You
going
know,
to
that's
I'm
the
going
kind of
to
thing I
come
do.
back to that definition of you as it relates to your marriage. So you're gonna have to tie that whole thing into your marriage,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Elder Bentley,
It's Winsley.
Winsley.
That's right.
S.
That's
Winsley. This is the second time you tell me that name, but I refuse to memorize it.
It's
I
all
know
right.
you're too long.
Well, it's a very unique name, you know.
Yeah. You know anybody else named Winsley?
Yeah, there are a few Winsley around.
But two you?
Few, just a few.
Yeah. Tell us a little about yourself, Elder.
Well, as you know, my wife just mentions that she's a crazy lady. And it's so true, you know. I often tell her she's very crazy. I married a crazy woman, you know. Maybe it's because she's crazy, I'm crazy over her.
Oh my goodness.
That's a part of the
That
matrimonial
sounds like a
life,
song. That sounds like a song.
you know. And we married in 1987,
Nice.
August 23rd.
August?
Yes,
Okay.
23rd.
Okay.
And I have no regrets in this matrimonial life. You know, life got its matrimonial life has ups and downs, but and so far I'm enjoying it.
Beautiful. One of the things that this program is geared at doing is sending out messages to persons who have families, persons who are married or wanting to be married. And we know that statistically marriages are in trouble. You guys have been married for a long time. Sister Bev, you talked about your disposition just now as it relates to other people. How do you align that as it relates to the longevity in your marriage?
You know, humor is something that makes you stay focused. For me,
Humor
and
makes you stay focused.
yeah, it makes you stay focused. And
Okay.
What happens is that, for example, if for example he just said that I'm crazy, marry a crazy person. You know what I say to him? Now, if you're gonna marry a crazy person, you have to be crazy.
Actually, I'm not crazy. You see, I married her to make her sane. That's right.
And you have failed me.
No, but listen, no. The answer I give to that, I marry you because I want you to be saved. The answer I give to that is that, but you're getting through. Started a long time, you're getting through. So I'm saying it helps because if he tells me I'm crazy and I get on wow because he tells me I'm crazy, what's gonna happen? We're gonna have a fight. I mean, we do have, please. We do have. I'm not sitting here to tell you we don't fight. We do have. But the thing about it, you tend to know. Sometimes he says he's the water and I'm the fire because of my attitude, as I said before. But the thing about it, because I am who I am, he reckon who I am.
Exactly.
And what he does is to complement the things that I would do with his attitude of the water, so to speak. so it doesn't flare and the house doesn't
Doesn't
burn down,
burn down.
if you know what I mean.
Get scorched. but not
Yes,
burned
and,
down.
and a lot of time too, sometimes when I carry on, I be like, in your own quiet moments, you did that?
Beautiful.
And I'm like, oh no, this is not me. You know, you do that kind
What
of
is
thing,
your
but
what,
you don't.
what is your philosophy? Do you have a philosophy, Elder Winsley? Do you have a philosophy for your marriage? Because I've known you guys, like I said, before you guys were married, many years, and I have never seen you guys angry, neither individually or together. Never. I've never seen you angry, Elder. And Sister Bev, I've never seen you angry. And I wonder, not only a philosophy for life, but we're talking about of marriage now. Do you have a philosophy for your marriage? How do you always present a healthy marriage? Because that's what the two of you guys, if I were to ask, other than my wife and I, you guys are probably the happiest couple ever, right? What's your philosophy for that? What do you say to yourself? Is there an agreement that you have?
Well, if it's not written, it's perhaps in our minds, you know. And,
What
and
is it?
what I would say is this: we first of all recognize that God is the person to be in the picture of our marriage to make it work. Why? Because we've made a vow to each other and to God, and we recognize that God is the amplifying person in our lives, and He has given us some rules and regulations that we would want to follow, right? He said, leave and cleave. That's the first one, right? And then He says, the two became one. Now, if the two became one, you don't want to take out his eyes, or you know, because you're taking out your own eyes, because automatically the two are one. So if you look at that, you know, you tend to put on the blinders that perhaps the horses would wear and tell yourself, this is me. And when you see him, you see yourself. When he sees me, he sees himself. We are seeing each other as one. So we don't want to. If I get a cut on my finger, I feel pain. If we are one, if I do him something that makes him feel pain, then I'll feel pain too. I'm going to feel that same pain. So you tend not to want to hurt each other by living according to the laws and regulations given to us by God.
Okay. What's your take on it, Elder?
Well, of sure thing that Christ is the center of our marriage. It's like you have a triangle and Christ is at the top and be the bottom. The closer we get to Christ is the closer we get to each other.
Okay. All right. We see we have a call. Let's see if we can begin to get some folks engaging us. Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good
Yeah,
evening.
please
Good
turn on your
evening.
television a little bit.
Ring you guys. I don't know if you can ask the operator to turn up for me, please.
Turn up
Hardly hearing you guys.
on the television.
TV is at 100, Pastor, and I'm not hearing.
All right, TV, brother technician. The lady speaker is not working. I mean, she said that she's not hearing well. All right.
ma'am,
So
all
that's
right.
it. No question for this beautiful couple. This beautiful couple.
Not as yet. Let me hear some more.
Okay. Are you married?
Divorced.
Long now?
Have been divorced since 2011.
And you are dating?
Yes, but the person is overseas.
You love him?
Not really.
So you I hope he's not hearing this. I hope. All right. Well, but don't marry him if you don't love him, you know.
I am a person in my 50s, so
I don't understand what that means.
see how it's going to work out.
Okay. Make sure that you love him, right?
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the show.
Thank you so
Okay, all
much.
right.
Take care.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Yes, you were talking, Elder, that God is at the top of your triangle, your pyramid, and as you get closer to God, you get closer to each other. So you're still on that journey.
Yes.
Would you say your marriage is getting better?
Oh, it's getting sweeter.
Sister Bev, you remember anything that any trial in your marriage that stands out? Any period in your marriage that you wonder, what on earth have I done?
Remembering it might be a little tough, but still, but there were.
There were times.
There were times when
I'm
you
going to take
say,
a call because everything is happening impromptu here, right? I want to call the viewers to know that we didn't rehearse anything because I don't like, even when my wife and I come on, we don't want to rehearse too much because we want it to be from the heart. So we'll take a call. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Ella.
Good
How you
evening.
doing?
Come to you and your panel person, Sabbath.
Thank you,
Let's
same
have
to
it
you.
too.
Mr. Beverly, we two teeth of the same part because I have the same attitude. My husband sometimes say I'm crazy. Well, I've been married for over a year now. For the first couple of months, I used to flare up, and he used to gotta be the one to calm me down like the water. It's the one that say, I the only person behave like this is that I'm an outspoken person.
yes.
If one is one, I told you one is one. And a result of that, I don't have much friends because the type of things they would do, I would tell them up front. I would say, man, I'm not doing it. I ain't drinking no beer. And it's Sabbath. I got to go in and keep my Sabbath and so on. And because of that, they said I'm crazy. I love to sing, right? At home, I be in my hammock singing most of the time. They say I'm crazy, but only God knows. And right now, I put Christ. I said to my marriage, the way how I dress, I like to wear long clothes. I'm a mad lady. I'm an old lady. But I don't have time with them because on our here, you have to practice with hair. You can't have to wear a mini skirt. I wear my clothes decent. I love to sing my songs, and I'm a person like they say. I tell you things up front. I don't have no grudge, but one is one. I say one is one, and a result of that, they might say crazy and things like that. So Beverly, really the same thing.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your marriage. Yes.
I'm Sister Doris. I attend
company.
Cedars Valley Church.
Okay,
It's
good.
all okay.
I'm there. Just see your city baby. I love to laugh.
Okay, good. And
Yes,
Sister
my
Beverly
company.
also loves to sing.
I love to laugh a lot, and I'm an outspoken person. I talk straight up, and that's it.
Okay, thank you so much for your call.
We are.
Bye, baby. Enjoy your program. I'll
Thank you.
continue watching it.
Yes.
Okay, all
Sister
right.
Bev, you love to sing too?
Yes,
You
I
love
do.
to sing too.
Yes.
Elder, well, can you remember anything that stands out in your marriage that make you wonder, what did I do? Did I, over the years, is there any moment, any period?
It might be the time of, when you may have the teeth and tongue issue, and then you wonder, this lady is really for me, but you just brush it aside. Life goes on, If you see the first 3 years of marriage are very crucial. If you can get past those 3 years, first 3 years, well then you can make it to the end.
I like that. So collective, so you've been married for how many years now, you say?
It's 31.
31. They married longer than us, babe. Should we be annoyed with them?
Got one over you.
Listen me.
Got one over you.
Sister Bev and Brother Winsley got married when I was still in high school. I was still in high school.
How old you were when you got married, Sister Bell?
23.
And how old you were?
I'm 28.
28.
You see?
You married when you were 19.
That's what I'm saying. So if we had married when they were, we would still be behind. So don't care how you put it, we would still be behind. Still be behind.
Sister Bev, you work with I gotta be very careful. Can't be corrected on national television. You work with people who are differently abled.
And I have to correct you at this moment because it's persons with disabilities.
So with the differently abled thing.
No. That's what we are accustomed saying,
But
okay?
it-
Because that was what was said for quite a while now.
So what
But
it is?
because we have a Disability Act, we are governed by that. So it says persons. You see what I said first? Persons.
Persons,
You're looking after people first
Persons.
before you look at the disability. So we say persons with disabilities.
So it's not, we used to
No,
say
no.
disabled people.
No,
No.
Can't do
We're
that
not saying that
anymore.
anymore.
No.
Persons with
Persons.
disabilities.
That's where.
Now, a person who is in a field like yours, you don't ever come off from work.
That's quite true.
So, how does your 24-hour of being on call or being even consciously or subconsciously under the gun, as it were, having to manage whether you're at work or not, how does that impact your marriage?
Understanding is the key. And because of the type of work I do, it would definitely, what you want might say, impact our marriage to some extent. Yes, it does, because there are times when I'm in the office for a long time in the nights, and I'm working, and everybody else is at home for me. How that is like, well, I'll get a call, Beverly, where are you? I'm at work, and I'm doing so. Or I said before, even before I be at work, and he would call to find out if you're finished. Are you finished? No, not yet. When you're leaving, I'll call you when I'm leaving. That kind of thing we have going on. And at sometimes, it could really get overbearing in terms of me just bogged down with my job and not in the home, you know, or not at home to deal with what's going on there. And sometimes it might squeeze the family unit. Squeeze the family unit, and then I'll have to, like, okay, step back a little and fix up this side of the business, you know. It doesn't always work smoothly, but sometimes it does. And when it doesn't work smoothly, then we get into some fights, you know. But then we able to calm it down to the extent that we don't kill each other.
Yeah.
I think she needs to explain what kind of fight we're talking about.
Yeah.
Verbal. a lot of talk. A lot of talk.
Sister Beverly, I'm glad that you said that, because I often would say, if we must live and be able to agree, we must be able to fight. And when I say fight, I'm not talking about fist and pill. I'm talking about where we say what needs to be said. You need to know how I feel. I need to know how you feel. And then when we do that, then we can say, okay, what do we do next? So that this, even if it should happen again, it don't happen in this way. And then we know exactly what we need to do so that we can fix this problem. So as soon as we say, it's almost like a sore throat. You feel sore throat, you know, okay, I got to put some ice under it. Because if I don't put ice under it right now, then I got to suck some strepsils later.
But then the sore throat makes you uncomfortable.
Yes.
Even before you go get the medication,
Exactly.
it makes you uncomfortable. So you do get the uncomfortable
Exactly.
situation. You would get it, but then you're finding the medication, right? You're finding the
have to
medication
find a
later.
solution.
So that's where you don't go to the point where I'm just getting rid of this man. You
I'm
don't
done.
go to that point
I fed
because
up.
you know that there is this sore throat. Your throat is sore and it's uncomfortable. That's when you discuss those uncomfortable things between each other. And sometimes it don't be discussing nice. It is be discussing for days sometimes.
You know,
But still, you have to
the
come
end
to the
of
And
the-
point
I
where
like
you
that we're
stop.
talking about that, because a lot of people get out of marriages when a problem arises. Because people think that marriages should not have problems. There are people like that. Yeah. You know? So it is good that you guys are saying that after 31 years, that you admitting that you do have disagreements, that some disagreements are tense, that some disagreements are uncomfortable, sore throat uncomfortable. And I want the viewers to know, those of you who are married and those of you who are planning to get married, that it's okay, it's healthy even to have disagreements, and you don't have to get out of a marriage because you have disagreements. Here you have this couple married for 31 years. Celia and I have been married for 29. It's 60 years of experience that you get in here for free. Sister Bev and Brother
Winsley.
Brother
Winsley.
Elder Winsley, tell us about your children. Did you plan for all of them? How many children you have?
3.
You plan for all of them? In what kind of way you plan for them? how you mean you plan for them? Because I have people who have children they didn't plan for. So when you say you plan for them, what do you mean? You mark it down on the calendar and stuff like that?
I mean, to some extent, yes.
You did?
Yes, to some extent, yes. You mark it down on the calendar. Because, for example, I was at university when we got married. I wasn't going to get children at my studying time. When I was almost finished, then I decided that this was the time. And that was 3 years after we got married. We didn't get children right away.
You wanted children right away?
No.
You
I had a
agreed
plan,
that?
yeah.
We
that
did.
okay.
Yes.
And so the
And that's
first
the
baby
best way to
came.
go for people who just get married, you know. You need to enjoy your togetherness
Don't,
together.
don't go down that road because you're gonna damn us. If you go down that road, Sheila and I are damned because when we were coming up to our first wedding anniversary, we had a baby. Our anniversary is the 1st of August. The 28th of July, we had our baby. So our anniversary and the new baby came at the same time. And we have survived 29 years.
Well,
So please don't tell me that thing and so. And it's only because this girl was at university.
No. That's not the problem. Then you have a good family
That
planning.
aided the situation.
How long? Okay, Celia and I, our marriage really, and we talk about this sometimes because we say we come on television and we tell these people about how we happily married and stuff like that. The people are sitting down at home and they're wondering, well, there must be a match made in heaven and stuff like that. And sometimes I think that we are unfair sometimes because God has been good to us and we have educated ourselves as it relates to the marriage and stuff like that. And not everybody do that. So sometimes I think that we speak from a position of strength and it makes people who are not as strong feel bad. All right? But I'm saying that our marriage wasn't planned out like. So how long do you think a person or couple should wait before they begin their family?
Well, it all depends on the age. Because if you married at 50,
You gotta start right away.
You gotta start right away.
It's funny. You know when you do things like that, it's when I realize that the two y'all are equally mad. It's just that you are. Yeah, he has a delayed madness. His madness comes in. He's a covert. He's a covert madman.
Any madness
You don't
is
put it
rubbed
together
off.
right, you know. You don't put in the stick together right. The two, you forget. The two shall be.
Wow.
So
Yeah, but
something
you
rubbing
probably
off.
Mad, but that's he does it all the time. So tell me about it. Yeah, tell me about the family planning again. I want to hear. So
Well, she gonna explain the biological side of it.
yeah, but you tell me
No,
about
not
the
necessarily.
practical side.
Oh yes, I'm saying that when a person get married, they shouldn't have kids right away. And it all depends on the age group, right? If
Yeah.
you're 35, 40, you don't want children in a hurry because, but if you're young, you need to wait and enjoy that coupleness together. Enjoy
What
2,
do
3
children
years.
do that cause you to think that if you get children early, it could affect the marriage negatively?
It will take away. It will take away from the marriage.
And how about a person who argues that if you allow too much time to elapse and you have grown to enjoying each other's company, now when you get accustomed to that and a child comes now, that it might create more problem because now you're unaccustomed to an interruption.
I wouldn't say that because I'm saying if these two persons are planning together, they will have a mindset of what is expected when the child comes. So they both will be ready for that. We have enjoyed ourselves together for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. We did it for three.
Fantastic.
For 3 years, right? And we have set to ourselves, okay, good. Now this is the time where reading is important. You read some, and let me say, no child come with any manuscript.
There we go.
No child coming on, but I'm saying it helps you to be prepared for some of the things that's actually going to happen when a child comes, right? And you have to be really mentally prepared for that. Otherwise, you could perhaps go berserk and throw away the baby. You know? Right. So you have to be mentally prepared. So if both of you, now when you're preparing to get married, you go to the counseling, you go to the whatever, and you know this is what you got to do, this have to be done, and you prepare. It's the same way now you're married, you decide we're going to be 1 year of fun, 2 years, 3 years, whatever you've decided, it's your plan. And then you tell yourself, okay, now this is the time to be to have added responsibility. What does it take to have this added responsibility? You have to have a mindset for it. If you don't have a mindset for it, and it just comes all of a sudden, you're going to be looking for trouble.
All right. Dominique, leave us on a white shot, and please come and put in the charger. My phone is giving a warning sign that it's dying. So please bring on the charger because I don't want to lose my Facebook folk. Thank you so much. All right, Sister Beth.
Before you continue, one of the things I wanted to say is that I think in both cases, planning works, because what we did when we were courting, I told him, I said, when we get married, I want them children just get me out the way. This is what I wanted. I wanted to get my children. I said, listen, we can get the children, because in my mind, what I wanted to do was have these children, take care of them, and when I finish and the children are okay, there was a thing I always used to say, when the children are old enough, I think, to take care of themselves, when they reach, I think, 16, 17, because I always remembered that you had, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, that's it. So I said, let me get my children, and then when I finish, when the children are old enough, then I'm going to go and I can do all the things I wanted to do. So for us, we actually made a plan that this is what we want, this is what I wanted to do. I love the fact that, you know, I was able, I called it growing with my children. That's what I called it for me, growing with my children. So for us, I said, you know what, let's have the children. Let's have the children. I call it get them out the way. But I think that there was this, when as I look back at it now, it sounds so terrible. But that's basically, that's what I wanted to do, is let's have the children, and then.
So, Beverly and Winsley, like, we didn't plan, and you could push back. You have. How would you describe Daniel? Because I want us to talk now to that, to families who might have a child. So good. So I want you to first define or describe Daniel, and then I want you to speak to families who might have that challenge, and whose marriage might be, and you probably experienced that, whose marriage would be complicated as a result of that. So tell us a little of Daniel, and then talk of what, if any, constraints or strain he brought in the family, and how you dealt with that. So describe Daniel.
Yeah, he is a child with a disability, physical disability, and he has this short legs and short hands, and lots of people, you know, you got a television show, everybody know Raymond. Well, I think everybody knows Daniel. Everybody knows Daniel. He's a busybody. But the thing is, he came, you know, every mother, well, it should be, every mother, every pregnant mother looks forward to this bouncing baby boy or this jolly baby girl, whatever. And you know, when the child is born, you're looking for the 5 fingers and the 5 toes each side, and so on and so forth. So when Daniel was born, these things weren't there, you know, these 5, and we were like dashed to pieces. I was dashed to pieces. He was too, but I think I had more of it than him, because the way it actually affected me to the point where I just literally stayed in my house for 6 straight months.
Wow.
Yes. And the thing about it is that this guy is a strong fellow.
Hallelujah.
He is really strong.
Bless
Because when I would just didn't even want to do things for Daniel who was supposed to be doing it, he would be doing it. And it took such a strain on me, you know, because you're saying in your head, this is a child with a disability. How am I going to face the public? And I tell you, society could be real cruel. How am I going to face the crowd? What are people going to say? And you know, all these things that comes running into your head and into your mind, because that's not what you expected. All right. So as he came along and he started growing and recognizing that he wouldn't do things like every other little child his age would do and stuff like that, it was like a pain and something terrible. But you know what helped? The mere idea that my husband stood by my side and was saying to me, there must be a reason why he's like this, and God knows that reason, and we don't know it, so we're not fighting that.
Before you get to the easy part, Winsley, tell us a little about, because your wife is saying that you you suckered her through that period, but you must have been going through your own thing. So how did that impact you?
The impact was, as I would say it, I normally take everything in good faith, you know. So my was really to support her in this situation because you
That's
may
what he
have
did.
family, the person with a disability and the husband kick off and gone. You try with her, you know. But I am a different guy.
Now you have people who look watching television, and they have children who are like that. What quick tips can you give them to let them know that it is okay, that the marriage could survive it? How did you do it? Did you pray together? Did you take him out in public to test the public? How did you get through those early stages of this traumatic realization?
I would say a lot of prayers and God's guidance.
But practically,
And we took him out
Yes.
in public.
Right,
Fri-
right.
He took him out in public. I'm telling you, I wasn't the one to be that brave. He took him out in public and took Daniel just about anywhere and everywhere. I'm going to tell you what got me into the public. A parent support group that I found. Yes.
with
A parent support group who had other parents who had children with disabilities.
So could you tell the public,
And-
take a moment and just do a plug for that group in case somebody might not know,
Yes,
because I never
it's,
knew.
all right. It's the Rumfeld Parent Support Group.
Okay.
Which started way back because he was just about a year or two when I found that group. Now he's 25, so you could imagine how long that group was. And of course, I'm a member of the group, president of it for a number of years, and now I'm the secretary. So that group is in North Rumfeld. It's in North Rumfeld now, where we have a beautiful building in Springview Avenue, and persons who are around the Rumfeld area, we're encouraging them to be able to be part and parcel of that group. Once you have a child with a disability, that's your place. Because the parents were there to support each other and tell each other what were some of the things happening with them, and you get ideas and so on and so forth to be able to. And I was told, well, you need to find Daniel into school, and because the way he was born, I thought he was not school material. And I know a lot of parents keep their children back just like the way I did. So I thought he wasn't school material, and eventually, when I recognized this child needs to go somewhere, and I took him to school and so on and so forth, and all the teachers wanted to teach him at the same time, I didn't know how that was going to happen. No, because he's such a fun person,
Yes, he is.
right? He's such a fun person. Everybody wanted to teach. And Daniel brought tears to my eyes because the way because he has no knees, he would pull on his butt. But the day at his nursery school, when he was going to collect his certificate, he got up and walk to that teacher and collect the certificate. All I could have done was to sit down and cry because I couldn't believe that he
is
would
there.
ever
So he
walk.
didn't do that at home.
No, he didn't do it at home. He was only on his butt. And I'm saying it was really hard because you had to lift him and carry him everywhere. So that was kind of strenuous on us and that kind of stuff. And you didn't want nobody wants a child with a disability. You feel so bad about it and everything. But because we recognize that, listen, you just can't mope and grope in the situation. You need to come out. For your own sanity, you need to step out of this thing. And with the group, we were able to step out and have Daniel out into the open going places.
So good, let's
So
talk.
parents, don't keep your children inside.
Right, so parents don't keep your children inside. That's what she's saying. I don't want to interrupt that thought. Now, you had a child before Daniel,
Yes.
and you had a child after
And
Daniel.
after, that's right.
You weren't afraid to make another baby.
I tell
Were you? Talk a little about that. Yes. What went into that?
Yes, she was a little scared, but advice from people said, you can go again, you know. And we make sure she make a check at that pregnancy.
Meaning what?
Well,
They actually, as a matter of fact, because the nurses and so on know that I had a child with a disability. The minute I got pregnant again, they decided you have to go do ultrasound and do all these kind of things, check it out to make sure that the fetus is okay. They did that.
Okay.
That was the advice we got from the medical people.
So you were very on air.
Of course,
delivery
who wouldn't be?
delivery was, oh my gosh, I could well imagine. I could well imagine. Now I know Daniel. Daniel is my boy. We on Facebook. We think he's very, very functional.
Yep.
Daniel, like the two of you, never seen him unhappy. One time he came to me when I passed the district, and you had a concern that he wanted to get into the pathfinder and stuff like that and so on. But Daniel is always bouncy. Every time you see Daniel, he giving you high fives and stuff like that. What do you think caused that? Because he himself knows his limitations. He can see, but yet it doesn't appear as though he is too much affected by that, at least in the public. How do you account for that?
I think it's because we just let him be who he is. And let him do, let him feel as if he's a person. Nothing is actually wrong with you that causing you to be different from other persons. You're still an individual. I think because we allow him for that and allow him to go places and allow him out, not keep him in. I mean, after I did.
Let's take a call.
I figure that's what happened.
Hi, good evening. All right, the person will call back. So do you let him go places, like if he wants to go somewhere without you guys? How do you manage that? How do you manage that?
That's a scary thing, but yes,
You do.
he does. We let him go to places without us, and he demands to go places without us. Yeah, he don't always want to go everywhere with us,
Let's see, like,
but we find ourselves sometimes trying to.
to sucker him.
Yeah, but
let's get another person. Hi, into the discussion. Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to. Good evening to the other two pastors.
Yeah, your TV is feeding back.
Oh, sister, I just want to say this with Sister Wender, what she has said, to make your plan.
Mom, can you lower your television? It's feeding back. It's giving a terrible feedback, a terrible echo. Can you lower the volume of your television?
Yes, sir. All right?
Good,
That's
much
better.
better.
Better. Good.
Thank you.
Now she said to make the plan before you get married, and that is quite true. And when you're going to make the plans, you must try not to say, I don't like and don't like. Always say, I would like and I would like. So I agree with her making that plan. And this is what I want to say. One parent at home brings out better children. Because at school, I want to tell you to say the children who had no particular parents at home, they were the ones who were misbehaving than the ones who had a parent at home.
Okay.
So what she said tonight is quite true.
All right.
The plans before you get married, and don't say what I don't like and don't like. Well, have a blessed night.
Thank you
Our
so much.
blessings.
Deb, did you stay home as a mom? Were you a stay-at-home mom?
No, I wasn't a stay-at-home mom. I worked all the
worked.
time. I worked all the time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, we Sister Jeffrey, what were your thoughts when you were getting your babies? Were you concerned about having a child with a disability, and did you plan on how you would deal with something like that?
No, really, because here what? When I was growing up, I knew one person that was born with Down syndrome. One, only one. I remember I also met a young lady. America called them little people, but I just thought that was normal. So in my mind, being pregnant, I had
No fear.
I was just expecting a boy. That was it. Tashata, sorry. I was just expecting a boy. I was expecting a boy. We even gave him a name, Jemuel Wendell. Yes, that's the only expectations I had for this child, a boy. I didn't think about whether this child would have had a disability, nothing like that, nothing. Even when I got the second one, it wasn't there in my mind to be concerned. I just enjoyed the fact that I was pregnant.
Okay.
I remember I used to watch this belly and measure it and see when the marks start coming, and then you watch for the navel. I just enjoyed being pregnant. So basically, I didn't really look, in my mind, I really didn't, think about, anything, having a child with a disability.
We coming up to the top of our time,
Yes.
and I want us to wind down because you notice we didn't get a lot of calls tonight. And what people do is when they're really enjoying the program and when they're really learning, they don't call. And it makes it difficult for me because I begin to hear myself and I don't like to do much talking. People think I like to talk a lot. I really don't like talking a lot. I want to hear people, I want to learn.
Oh.
So you've done 31 years. Your daughter just got married.
Oh, yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And normally, we tell our children, and I tell people when we talk, that what we want to do is we want to create a marriage and maintain a marriage that other people would say, I want to be married like you are. Is that an approach that you guys have taken as it regards your children?
Oh, definitely. And our daughter has said to us that, Mommy, you and Daddy, you're married for long, and we are going to be staying long because we're looking at you. We're doing what you're doing. That's what she said, And I'm saying, I want to put this one in. You need what kept us even more trust.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
You
true.
have to learn to trust each other. If you can't trust each other, you're not going to stay together. You got to, or even if you stay together, it's going to be totally miserable.
Tolerating each other.
Totally miserable. You have to have trust for each other. I could shut my eyes and Winsley can go wherever he wants to go, wherever he wants
First
to
time I heard you call him that name, tell me I like it. It's a real bad
You
junior.
see, that's why I don't call it outside.
Say
you
the
know,
name when you close your eyes,
We can do and people can come around him. It's amazing. Our friends would want to know if you remember the album. He has some girlfriends that he had before he met me, and they're all there, pictures of them with him walking with them wherever, and it's in the app. And people would come in the house. What you doing with that inside there? Why he got this inside? I said, what's wrong with that?
Beautiful.
Trust. You have to learn to trust each other, if not, and support each other. If not, you're not going to be able to last this long. And I know there are people out there longer than us, living, married longer than us, and they also have some tips they perhaps could give to us.
Right, and
You
that's
understand?
right. So
Trust.
I want folks to know that we want to have more married folks come on. We want all kind of folks. Actually, if you were divorced and you want to come on to tell us what you could have done to not get divorced, or what you would like to do in your next marriage and so on, we want to talk because we here to learn. Winsley, tell us a little too as we wind up of what kept you together. Your wife's talk about trust.
Yeah, well, trust is very good, but the fact is, our diet plays a very important part in our relationship. For example, being in the Pathfinder Club as a youth boy, we had to carry out, avoid eating between meals, right? And that gave me a lot of self-control.
Wow.
So during my courtship period, it gave me the self-control so that I could control my emotions until I'm ready to get married, right? So that's something great, and folks can practice that, because youths these days don't have self-control. They just
Black.
Reflex action.
One thing I learned from you guys is how to peel a pine. And I never peel a pine the same way I used to before. You cut the pine on circles, slice it up, and then peel it. And I thank you for that. We out of time. We coming up out of time. Sister Jeffrey, any closing interrogation for this couple here?
No.
You can get some tips from them.
No interrogation.
Can't interrogate
No,
us.
no interrogation. No interrogation.
You can-
I would just like to say that it is wonderful, you know, that you sometimes you think you were doing it by yourself over here alone. But I'm glad that somebody else is doing it. And something you said about the pictures, I remember one time a friend of mine saw Wendell taking somebody else on the motorcycle, and she said, if that was me, she said, no other woman ain't getting on my husband's motorcycle. She said, I don't even want him to put anybody else in the car. And for me, that was not, I used to say, that's not an issue with me. It's not an issue with me. I say he can carry whoever he wants to. I have no problem allowing him. So I'm glad that there's somebody else who don't think that I'm crazy for wanting to do something, you know, for not making mountains, as I call it, out of molehills, you know, trying to blow up something that is not
Come back to
necessary.
trust.
Yeah.
Come back to trust. We need to trust each other.
We
All
have
right, so
to.
thank you so much, Sister Bev.
Yes.
And the Wintley.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Nice being here.
Folks, we're completely out of time. We want to thank you so much for
yes.
joining us. We'll be here again, God's willing, next week, Friday at 8 p.m. So you can join us for Dove on the Window. Until then, God bless you real good. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. And those of you who are mashing, if you can be good, be careful. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you.
So long.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I've heard them sing, he paid the price and Jesus bore it all. I've heard them sing, I'm coming home and heed the master's call. I've heard them sing the modern songs and songs of long ago. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. No sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. It was the song my mother sang in sweet and humble voice. Like music from the world above, it made my soul rejoice. Its soothing words and melodies like the rippling waters flow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is